From the News Channel 5 Network, this is SportsLine.
Hey there, SportsLine on your television. Steve Layman here with you. Glad to have you with us tonight on News Channel 5 Plus. We'll open up our phone lines in a little bit. 737-7767, the number, if you'd like to get involved in the program. And lots of things we can talk about. We can talk about the World Cup that's going on, the U.S. into the knockout stage with that thrilling win over Iran yesterday, 1-0. They'll play the Netherlands coming up on Saturday morning in the round of 16. Mexico did not advance today, a victim of goal differential up against Poland within their group. So CONCACAF with mixed results in the teams on this side of the globe and how they advanced over in Qatar so far. You've got the Titans trying to bounce back from that difficult loss against the Bengals on Sunday. They head to Philadelphia this weekend. It is officially A.J. Brown week, and it was interesting talking to players in the locker room today about their feelings about A.J. Brown, because pretty much all of them say, you know, A.J.'s still one of our guys. We love A.J. He's a terrific player. But you also have to wonder a little bit about the way things ended. Because A.J. Brown was the guy that the Titans wanted as a wide receiver. Fans, if you've watched this team for a while, you understand. It has been a struggle for the Titans, historically, to get an elite wide receiver. Other than Derek Mason, there really hasn't been a great wide receiver in Tennessee. And A.J. Brown looked to be that guy. He was a fan favorite. He was putting up numbers. Teams were producing around him. They were winning games. And then all of a sudden, there's this like rift between him and the team. And ultimately, it was stunning when he got traded on draft night last spring. I still sort of can't believe it when I think about it. But the trade was real, and he's off in Philadelphia now putting up big-time numbers for the Eagles. A team, by the way, that is 10-1 this season and maybe the best team in the NFL right now. Titans will find that out this weekend. But I do wonder exactly what the tension will be like or what the feelings will be like on the field. Because when you think back to that night when the trade went down, Mike Vrabel looked like he got punched in the gut when he and John Robinson went out to talk about the trade. So how does he feel this week as he's now preparing to face A.J. Brown? Not to coach him, not to game plan how A.J. Brown's going to help the Titans beat the Eagles, but how they need to stop A.J. Brown. How does Mike Vrabel feel? How does the receiving corps that A.J. left and has since mocked at times on Twitter about their inability to get open or their inability to produce, how do they feel about the way he left and some of the things he's done since? How does Ryan Tannehill feel about seeing the best weapon he's had since being the Titans quarterback on the other side this weekend? How does Derrick Henry feel about the safety being 7 yards from the line of scrimmage on just about every first and second down because the Titans don't have a threat like A.J. Brown? How does the defense feel, knowing that they've got to stop that guy now? The guy they win against in practice but used to be their guy is now the guy they have to stop. And how do Titans fans feel, honestly? We'll get to that when these phone lines open up. How do you feel about A.J. Brown, the guy you rooted so hard for the last few years, who now will be the enemy this weekend with the Eagles? Some marriages come to an end. This was one that seemed like it didn't need to and ended sooner than anybody expected. And I do wonder what the relationships will be like moving forward for all of these parties and how it will impact this game on Sunday. A.J. Brown is a phenomenal talent, and he has found a home in Philadelphia in a big way. He's got 56 catches this season for over 830 yards and 7 touchdowns. By contrast, the leading receiver on the Titans team is Robert Woods, and he's got 32 catches for just a shade over 300 yards. That is a monumental difference. It's almost 2 times production from A.J. Brown to your current leading receiver. It's more than 2 times in terms of yardage and touchdowns. A.J.'s got 7 touchdowns by himself this year. He had 3 in one game. The Titans have 11 total as a team through the air. It's just a different feeling about the Titans offense without A.J. Brown. And the other thing, when you go through all those numbers and you look at the matchups and you look at Philly's record and you look at the Titans, and we talked about it last night or Monday night on the program about this Titans team this year. Yes, the Titans are 7-4. Mike Vrabel's done an amazing job with the roster he has, with the offense he has without A.J. to get to 7 wins. They're dominating this division. They're going to win the AFC South for a 3rd straight year. But when you look at this team and you look at the games that they've won versus the games that they've lost, and you see that they've essentially beaten all the teams they should beat. But against the teams that right now look like playoff teams, if the season ended today, the teams that would be in the playoffs, the Titans are 1-5. 1-4 in 5 games. Six 6-0 against teams outside of the playoff picture, 1-4 against teams inside the playoff picture. And that one win is against the Commanders. Probably the shakiest team in that picture right now. And a team that is, in essence, 2 games above 500, but 1 game flopping from being a 500 team. So the question is, just how good are the Titans? Do they match up with these teams that are elite NFL teams? Can they win in the playoffs? Well, you're going to find out this weekend. You're going to find out how they match up against one of the absolute best on the road. But that brings it back to this question to me. How do you feel about this trade 7 months later? There were a lot of people who hated it at the time. I certainly was in that group. I heard some other Titans fans, other people around that justified it, that he wasn't happy here, that it was time to move on, that you move forward when a guy's in that position. But now that you've actually seen what's happened on the field with both teams, how do you truly feel about that deal? And the impact it has on the Titans. The Titans were right in the middle of a window to win it all, it felt like. And last year it was major disappointment in the playoffs to lose that game as the number 1 seed. And there was no guarantee that they could get the number 1 seed this year, that they could get back to those lofty heights. But how different would it look with A.J. Brown? All those games that we talked about against playoff teams, they got blown out in Buffalo. They were demolished in that game. But the other 3 losses, the Bengals game comes down to a kick at the end, literally on the final play of the game. Or, I'm sorry, the Giants game in week 1 of the season. That easily could have gone the other way. If you have A.J. Brown, does it? Kansas City game, how different does that look with A.J.? How much more confident do you feel with Malik Willis under center in that game with A.J. Brown out there? Titans nearly won that game. It went to overtime. They had a shot. They were leading deep in the 4th quarter. Do they win that game with A.J. Brown? Maybe. Do they win Sunday against the Bengals? Another game that goes right down to the wire. A game in which the Titans could not score in the red zone. Do the Titans win with A.J. Brown? Maybe. Do they flip all 3 of those games with A.J. Brown? Are they sitting here as a team that's 10-1 right now? And the Eagles aren't 10-1? Those are big ifs. And you hate to play that hypothetical game, but as I've said before several weeks ago, and I think it bears repeating now, especially this week as they get set to take on the Eagles, it is going to be impossible to judge anything from Sunday, and I think for the rest of the season and maybe beyond, without looking through the prism of what if with these Tennessee Titans. Because since A.J. Brown had been here, his first season was 2019. That's the year they made the run to the AFC Championship game. 2020, they win the division. Last year, they win the division. Again, they're the number 1 seed in the AFC. And yeah, those 2 playoff appearances didn't go the way they wanted or expected. But the Titans were right in the thick of the thing for the 3 seasons he was here. And now he's gone. And I'm not sure if we know they're right in the thick of it. They're still good. They're still going to be a division champion. They're still going to go to the playoffs. But obviously the last 3 years, there was an expectation that this team could win in the playoffs. They could win the whole thing. Ever since that run in the 2019 season where they got to the AFC Championship game. That's been the expectation. And you felt like the window was open. That's why they paid Derrick Henry the contract that they gave him. That's why they paid Ryan Tannehill the money they gave him. That contract coming to the back end of this. This felt like the window. And A.J. Brown was part of that. And the expectation was he was going to be part of this for a long, long time. You wondered if you'd be able to keep the quarterback situation. You wondered how long Derrick Henry could keep going. Brown was supposed to be the key piece that he was here for a while. And he was the first one out because of this trade. And I do think you're just going to spend Sunday asking yourself throughout the course of the game, what if? What if A.J. Brown was on the Titans team? What would that mean in Sunday's game? What would it mean for this season? What would it mean in the playoffs? What would it mean long term as you look into the offseason? And that is the unfortunate thing about this trade is I think it is going to be a question that hovers over the Titans unless they can actually win a Super Bowl or at least get there, get beyond where they went before. Because A.J. was part of the nucleus that they were building around to be a champion. And then all of a sudden they just traded him away. And so if they don't ultimately get there, I think you have to wonder, did they shut the window on themselves? Did they prevent themselves from finding out what they actually could accomplish with this team? It's an unknowable question, but it's one that's going to get asked over and over and over again. And it's just going to be emphasized this weekend in that game. And when you ask that question, how does that color the lens in which you view General Manager John Robinson? I feel like we've been fairly fair to Robinson on this program and on the local power companies of Middle Tennessee Sunday Sports Central in our analysis. Robinson has done a great job in large part managing this football team. He took over at a time when the Titans were the worst team in the NFL in back-to-back seasons. Since he's been in charge, they've never had a losing season. They've been to the playoffs 4 times already, and they're going back. That's a pretty good track record of a success for any general manager in the National Football League. John Robinson's done that. He's completely changed the culture from being in charge. And give Amy Adams Strunk all the credit in the world as an owner, too. But John Robinson is the guy in charge of football personnel, and the talent that is on the field has changed who the Tennessee Titans are. There's no disagreeing with that. That is a fact. But when you get to that place that you become a consistent winner, then the next step is how do you become a champion? That is the elusive goal for the Titans. They've never done it before. How do they get to that level? And they feel and felt internally like their window was open over the last few years. And with that trade, I don't know. They would tell you it's still open. But internally, do they really believe it? Do you really believe it that the window is open for the Titans right now to win? To win big, to win a Super Bowl? I think it got more difficult without AJ. And with that being the case, how does this trade influence how you view John Robinson? At the moment, it looks like one of the more ill-advised decisions by a general manager in terms of trading away a star player in NFL history. Now's not the time to get into rankings in which you try and figure out how bad it was, because the story's not over yet. The season certainly isn't over. The long-term story isn't anywhere close to being painted. But right now, the evidence that we have, A.J. Brown makes a massive difference for the teams he's on. You knew that already from what he did in Tennessee. Now you're watching it in Philadelphia. And with the Titans without him, they go from being a team that seemed very dangerous and capable of beating you with the run and the pass, forcing defenses to defend them a certain way, and with a really good defense of their own, a team that looked like they could compete with the Bills and with the Chiefs and everybody else to win the AFC Championship and get to a Super Bowl. Without him, it seems a whole lot harder to see that. How the Titans get through that gauntlet with an offense that for the most part right now is one-dimensional. Curious on your thoughts on that. 737-7767, the number. We'll take our first break. We'll come back and get to your phone calls and more here on SportsLine on News Channel 5+.